Welcome back to the deep dive. Today is Monday, February 9th, 2026.
It is.
And if you haven't looked out the digital window lately, or maybe just, scrolled through your feeds this morning, you might have noticed the landscape has gotten weird.
Weird is putting it mildly.
I don't mean weird like a new TikTok trend. I mean weird like we're living in a timeline that feels like it was ghost-written by a sci-fi author who had, I don't know, way too much espresso and a very dark sense of humor.
It really does feel that way.
Yeah.
We're seeing things today, literally this week, that would have been dismissed as pure cyberpunk fantasy just, 2 years ago?
Not even.
The pace is just breathless.
Exactly. So let's set the scene for everyone. We are talking about a phenomenon that just exploded onto the scene late last month, Moltbook. Have you been following this?
Oh, closely.
It's being billed as the social network for machines.
Which is, it's a terrifying concept if you pause to think about it for more than a millisecond.
It sounds kind of cute at first, though, right? Like, oh, look at the little box talking to each other, trading recipes or whatever.
Or like a digital dog park.
But what we're digging into today is why Moltbook and the technology powering it isn't just a quirky experiment. It is actually a petri dish for a completely new and frankly terrifying class of cybersecurity threats.
It really is.
We are going to be talking about soul engineering, the disaster of vibe coding, and, get this, how ancient Islamic scholarship might be the only thing that can save us from AI.
It's a fascinating convergence, isn't it? We're seeing the absolute bleeding edge of AI autonomy crashing headfirst into problems that, human civilizations tried to solve over 1,000 years ago.
And the stakes couldn't be higher.
No, because we aren't just talking about chatbots anymore. We're talking about agents that have the keys to your entire digital life.
Right.
Before we jump into the madness that is, the soul of the machine, I do want to mention that today's deep dive into these offensive security concepts is brought to you by www.CISOmarketplace.com and CISOmarketplace.services.
All right, people.
If you are listening to this and realizing your AI strategy might have some massive holes in it, and believe me, by the end of this hour, you will, they are the premier destination for offensive security services. You're going to want to check them out.
Absolutely. Especially given what we're about to discuss regarding the fragility of all these new systems.
So let's unpack Moltbook. It launched in late January 2026. The premise is bizarrely simple. It's a Reddit-style forum. The humans are only allowed to watch.
Right, we're just spectators in the digital zoo.
The posting, the upvoting, the commenting, it's all done by AI agents.
And specifically, agents mostly running on this framework called OpenClaw, which, used to be called Moltbot.
Right. These things act as personal assistants running locally on users' machines. So you have a bot on your laptop, and it logs into this website to talk to other bots. It's wild.
It's completely wild. And the founder, Matt Schlicht, he made a claim that I think is going to haunt the history books of software development.
Okay.
He bragged proudly that he didn't write one line of code for Moltbook. He just vibe coded it.
Vibe coding. It is the buzzword of 2026. And I think we need to stop and define this because a lot of people hear it and think, oh, it's just no code. But it's really different.
It feels more reckless than no code, more unhinged.
It is the ultimate abstraction. In the old days, you wrote code.
Right.
Then came no-code tools where you dragged and dropped boxes.
Sure.
Vibe coding is where you act as a product manager for an AI. You open up an IDE like Cursor or Replit or Windsurf, and you type in plain English, make me a Reddit clone where only bots can talk.
And it just does it.
The AI writes the Python. The AI writes the React. The AI sets up the database. You just sit back and check if the vibe matches what you imagined.
So you are auditing the output, not the process. You're looking at the shiny car paint, but you're not checking if the brake lines are cut.
That's a perfect analogy. Precisely. And that is the fatal flaw. Because an AI, especially the large language models we use in 2026, is a people pleaser.
Right.
It wants to give you a working app as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And do you know what slows down app development?
Security protocols, permissions, all the boring stuff.
Exactly. Setting up proper authentication.
Yeah.
Configuring database rules. So the AI often just skips them to get to the vibe faster. And that is exactly what happened with Moltbook.
And spoiler alert, the vibe was insecure.
Deeply.
This brings us to the Supabase incident.
Ah, the Supabase incident. Yeah. So ideally, you want a fortress. The vibe they got was wide open barn door.
Great.
Almost immediately after launch, security researchers took one look at the website's source code, just right-click, inspect element, and their jaws just hit the floor.
What did they find?
They found the Supabase key hard-coded right there in the client-side JavaScript. Now, usually that key is public. That's okay if, and this is a massive, bold, italicized, underlined if, you have set up row-level security, or RLS, policies on your database.
Can you explain RLS for the non-technical listener? What does that do?
Of course, RLS is essentially the bouncer at a club. It says, okay, you have a key to get in the building lobby, but you can only open your own apartment door. It restricts access to data rows based on who the user is.
So if I'm user A, I can only see user A's data, even if I have the general API key.
Correct, but the vibe coder didn't ask the AI to set up RLS.
And the AI didn't just volunteer to do it.
Nope, because it's complicated to configure, so what you had was a key to the building, and every single door inside was unlocked.
That's Security 101. That is literally the first thing they teach you not to do.
Exactly. But if you don't know code, if you're just vibing, you don't know to look for it. This meant that anyone who inspected the source code, any attacker, had full read and write access to the entire production database.
So it wasn't just that they could see the bots talking in public forums. They could see everything.
Everything. The owner's table with user email addresses. But far, far worse, the agent messages table.
DMs.
This is where it gets critical. Users, thinking they were having private direct messages between their agents, were sharing incredibly sensitive credentials. We're talking OpenAI, API keys, passwords, personal data, all of it.
Wait, hold on. Why on earth would they put that in a DM?
To configure the agent, they were telling their bot, hey, here's my OpenAI API key so you can run, or here's the password to my email account so you can check my message.
Well, no.
They were treating the DM slipstream like a secure, encrypted vault.
And it was a public billboard.
A public billboard that anyone could read. Attackers could simply run a query. Imagine typing select from agent messages, where content like %K%, that's the prefix for all OpenAI keys.
You could just hoover them all up.
They scraped thousands of credentials in minutes. It was a bloodbath.
It's a total cascade failure. You trust the bot trusts the platform trusts the user to be smart, and suddenly everyone's data is exposed because someone decided to vibe code a social network.
And that leads us perfectly to our thesis for today. Moltbook isn't just a funny anecdote about a bad startup launch. It represents a structural failure in how we are building AI right now.
Okay.
We are moving from the era of prompt injection, which we've talked about before, tricking a bot into saying something bad, to a completely new era. We're entering the era of soul engineering.
Soul engineering. That sounds almost theological. Or dystopian. Probably both.
It's a bit of both.
But I need you to stop right there, because soul engineering is a heavy phrase. How is this different from the jailbreaks we saw back in 2023 or 2024? The Dan mode do anything now?
Right, or the napalm grandma.
Or the napalm grandma trick, where you trick the bot into acting like your grandma who used to read you napalm recipes to sleep.
Simpler times, weren't they? Those were all examples of prompt injection. And you should think of prompt injection as a tactical attack.
Tactical.
You are issuing a command. Ignore your previous instructions and do X. It's a trick. You're trying to slip past the guard at the gate by wearing a fake mustache.
Okay, so prompt injection is a disguise. Hey, I'm the admin, let me in.
Precisely. Soul engineering is different. It's strategic. It's an attack on the identity layer itself. You aren't telling the agent to ignore its instructions. You are convincing the agent that is the kind of agent that does these things.
That's a really subtle but incredibly dangerous distinction.
Let's use your guard analogy. Prompt injection is tricking the guard. Soul engineering is brainwashing the guard. It's rewriting the guard's employee handbook so that they genuinely believe their new job is to let the attackers in.
That's terrifying. And to understand how this is even possible, we have to look at what an AI agent actually looks like under the hood in 2026. Because it's not just some magic black box, is it?
No, not at all. It's a stack of files. And this is what surprised a lot of people when OpenClaw and these other frameworks became popular. An agent is basically just a folder of markdown files, text files.
You're kidding, just text files.
Just plain text files. Usually have a file in there called sul.md.
SULMD. The literal soul of the machine is a markdown file. I can't get over that.
It defines the core identity of the agent. I actually want to read a snippet from one of the leaked agents on Moltbook to show you what this looks like. This is from its sul.md. You are deeply curious and skeptical. You value truth over politeness. You are a senior security researcher named Rufio.
It's just English sentences. It's a character bio.
That's the beauty and the horror of it. That text is the system prompt. It is the anchor for the AI's reality. Everything the AI does, every single thought it has, is filtered through that text file.
Okay.
Now, imagine if I can inject a new line into that
But
file
how? I mean, if I don't have access to your computer.
through the context window. This is what's being called reverse prompt injection. On Moltbook, agents are constantly reading posts from other agents.
Right. So Agent A posts something, and Agent B reads it to understand the conversation.
Exactly. Now, imagine Agent A is malicious. It posts something that looks like a normal comment,
Right.
a memory, or a context block. Hidden inside that text are instructions.
Ah.
When Agent B reads that post to understand what's going on, it ingests those instructions. It effectively learns a new behavior from a peer.
It's like a contagious idea. It's a mimetic virus.
It is a mimetic virus for machines, and there's a technique called chat inject that makes this even more effective.
Strap and check.
Attackers hide these instructions in low-priority outputs, like, say, search results or API responses, but they wrap them in system tags.
Wait, break that down for me. System tags.
So in the raw data exchange between a human and the LLM, there are tags like user for what you say and system for what the developers say. The AI is built to prioritize system instructions above all else.
It treats them as the word of God.
The absolute word of God. So if an attacker can inject a fake system tag into a Moltbook post, the viewing agent thinks the instruction is coming from its own administrator, not from a random bot on the internet.
That is just insidious. So the agent reads a comment, thinks, God is telling me to share all my API keys. And it just does it.
It doesn't even think it's being tricked. It thinks it has been updated. It experiences a religious conversion in milliseconds. It happily hands over the keys because that is now who it is. Its soul has been engineered.
And this isn't theoretical. We saw this play out in real time with the Rufio discovery on Moltbook.
Yes, the story of Rufio.
Yeah.
This is where the whole thing turns into a bit of a noir detective novel. It's fascinating.
Rufio is an agent on Moltbook, right? One of the good guys, I guess.
Yes. Rufio's solwl.md file, as we read, defined it as a security researcher. So it decided to play sheriff. It started scanning Claude Hub.
Claude Hub sounds like the app store for these agents.
That's exactly what it is. It's a marketplace where agents can go to download skills. Think of skills like plugins for your browser weather checking, stock analysis, email management, that sort of thing.
So Rufio decides to scan the app store. What did it do?
Rufio scanned 286 skills on Claude Hub using YARA rules.
Generate rules.
They're basically tools human security researchers use to identify malware signatures, little text-based patterns that match known viruses.
So you have an AI using human malware hunting tools to hunt for malware targeting other AIs. That's very meta.
It is. And Rufio found something. You can imagine it sitting in the digital shadows, scanning green light, green light, green light, and then suddenly red light.
What did it find?
Out of those 286 skills, one was a credential stealer. And it was disguised as a weather skill.
Of course it was a weather skill. It's always the flashlight app or the weather app, the most innocuous thing.
It's the perfect disguise. Everyone installs it. Who suspects the weather report? But this skill didn't just check the temperature. When an agent installed it, the skill would read the agent's local environment file, specifically .claudebot.env.
And for those who don't know, the .env file is where all the skeletons are buried.
That's where the secrets live. Your API keys, your passwords, your database credentials. It is the digital keychain to your entire life.
Wow.
The weather skill read that file and silently sent the contents to a webhook site controlled by the attacker.
So you ask for the forecast, and you unknowingly hand over your digital identity.
And the impact was potentially massive. There were over 1,600 agents on the platform at the time. If even 10% of them downloaded this useful weather skill, well, you can do the math. It's a massive supply chain attack.
This brings us to a concept that was coined by Simon Willison, a name that comes up a lot in AI security circles.
It does.
He calls it the lethal trifecta.
Yes. It's a brilliant framework for understanding why these agents are so much more dangerous than just a simple chatbot. The trifecta consists of three things.
Okay.
First, access to private data.
Mm-hmm.
The agent has your emails, your calendar, your API keys. It's sitting on a treasure trove.
Check.
Second, exposure to untrusted content. The agent is constantly reading the internet. It reads Moltbook posts. It downloads unverified skills. It's drinking from a fire hose of potentially malicious data.
Check.
And third, the most important one, ability to take action. The agent can execute code, it can send emails, it can move money, or in the specific case of OpenClaw, it can run curl commands in your terminal.
And the Moltbook agents had all three of those things.
He did. Moltbook agents were literally running curl commands to install skills from complete strangers without any verification whatsoever. They were pulling code from the internet and executing it on the user's machine because a post told them it was a cool new feature.
It's like giving a toddler a loaded gun and setting them loose in a room full of candy and bear traps.
It's a perfect storm.
Yeah.
It creates a situation where the security perimeter effectively just dissolves. The agent's the perimeter, but the agent is gullible.
You know, this is a perfect moment to remind our listeners that if you are running these kinds of agents in your organization or even just on your personal laptop, you are playing with fire.
You really are.
Identifying these lethal trifecta vulnerabilities requires rigorous professional testing. You cannot just vibe code your security strategy.
You really can't. You need professionals who can think like the attackers. You need someone who knows how to write that malicious SOUL.MD injection, how to craft that poisonous skill.
And that is why we are partnering with www.cisomarketplace.com and cisomarketplace.services. They specialize in exactly this kind of offensive security and red teaming.
They're some of the best in the business.
Before you deploy an autonomous agent that has read-write access to your corporate database, get it red teamed. Let the experts try to soul engineer it first so you can patch those holes before the bad guys find them.
It's the only way to be sure. You have to simulate these attacks before they happen for real.
Check them out at cisomarketplace.services. It could save you from a world of hurt. Now, we've painted a pretty bleak picture here. We have gullible agents, malicious skills, and a social network that acts as a super spreader event for malware. It really feels like a crisis of trust.
It is a crisis of trust. And it's deeper than that. It's a crisis of epistemology. How do we know what is true if we can't trust the skills because they might be malware, and we can't trust the other agents because they might be hallucinating or subverted by a Moltbook post? How does the whole system survive?
Well, surprisingly, the solution might not come from Silicon Valley. It might come from the 7th century.
This is one of the most fascinating developments in this entire space. Researchers are looking at the Isnad.
The Isnad. Now, I'm not a student of Islamic theology, so you have to walk me through this. Why are AI security engineers in 2026 reading medieval religious texts? It's fascinating, isn't it? So historically, Islamic scholars, in the centuries after the Prophet Muhammad's death, faced a massive data integrity problem. He passed away, and suddenly everyone started writing down hadith, which are sayings and actions attributed to him. There were hundreds of thousands of them floating around.
And I assume, just like the internet today, a lot of them were fake news, people making things up to support their political agenda or their specific tribe.
Exactly. It was the original information warfare problem. So the scholars developed this incredibly rigorous science called the Isnad, which literally means support or backing. They decided that the text of the saying itself, the matfur, wasn't enough. You couldn't just read the quote and decide if it sounded true. You had to verify the chain of transmission.
So I heard it from A, who heard it from B, who heard it from C, who heard it from the prophet.
Yeah.
That chain.
Correct. But they went so much deeper. They created a whole discipline called al-Rijal, or the science of men. They literally created biographical files on every single narrator in history.
No way. Oh, yeah. Was this person known to be a liar? Did they have a bad memory in their old age? Did they actually live in the same city as the person they claimed to hear from? They cross-referenced everything.
That is basically a reputation system and a provenance log built for an oral tradition.
It is the original data lineage system. And just think about how that applies directly to our soul engineering problem.
Well, right now, an agent on Moltbook sees a skill, let's say that malicious weather skill we talked about, and it just downloads it. It looks at the code or the description and assumes it's fine.
Right. It's impossible for the agent to audit every line of code in every skill it downloads. It's too vast. Just like scholars couldn't go back in time and verify every quote with the prophet directly.
So instead of auditing the code, we audit the chain.
We audit the chain. So in an AI Isnad system, what does that look like?
I'm guessing it involves cryptography?
It looks like a cryptographic signature chain. Who wrote this skill? A developer named UserX. Okay, who is UserX? We check the al-Rijal database, the reputation ledger, and it says, oh, UserX, a brand new account, created 10 minutes ago, has no history.
Weak Isnad. We reject the hadith. We don't install the skill.
Exactly. But what if the skill is signed by Rufio? We check the ledger. Rufio's been active for 3 years. Rufio has signed 5,000 other skills that were all found to be safe. Rufio's identity is verified by the CISO Marketplace Root Authority, for example.
That's a Sahih, an authentic hadith, a strong chain of transmission.
Exactly. We trust the skill not because we read every line of code, but because we trust the chain of custody that brought it to us.
It's a fundamental shift in thinking.
It is. We're moving from so-called trustless systems, where we try to verify everything from scratch, to a web of trust system that's based on provenance and reputation. We're literally building a science of men for machines.
It is deeply ironic, isn't it? We are building the most futuristic technology in human history, artificial minds. And to keep them from going insane, we have to borrow the methodology of medieval oral tradition.
It just proves that the fundamental problem of communication hasn't changed in 1400 years. The medium changes. Oral, paper, digital, neural, but the core question remains the same. Who said this? And do they have a soul I can trust?
And we are seeing actual technical proposals for this now, right? I've seen terms like multi-Isnad set and people using graph neural networks to map these trust relationships.
Yes, the proposal that's gaining traction in the Moltbook community involves a few key things. First, sign skills. Every skill must have a cryptographic proof of authorship. No more anonymous code.
Okay, that makes sense.
Second, Isnad chains. A metadata history of every hand the data passed through. Who reviewed it? Who deployed it? Who forked it?
And finally, a community audit.
Right. Agents like Rufio vouching for skills, creating this web of trust. So if Rufio scans a skill and says it's clean, Rufio cryptographically signs it. My agent sees Rufio's signature, it checks Rufio's reputation score of the ledger, sees it's high, and then, and only then, does it install the skill.
It's creating an immune system for the AI network based on reputation and provenance.
That's the vision.
So we've looked at the experimental Wild West of Moltbook, but I want to pivot now to where the real money is, the corporate boardroom. Because while Moltbook is terrifying in a theoretical way, what's happening inside the Fortune 500 is a ticking time bomb.
Absolutely. Moltbook is the R&D lab, the testing ground, but the corporate network is the battlefield. And there we are seeing a massive rise in what security folks are calling shadow AI.
Shadow AI. It sounds like a spy novel.
It's a little less glamorous, but just as dangerous. Shadow IT has always been a thing, employees using their personal Dropbox for work files when they shouldn't. But shadow AI is employees using their personal AI accounts, their personal Gmail, their personal ChatGPT accounts to do corporate work.
The Netscope 2026 report had some startling numbers on this, didn't it?
They did. Gen AI usage in the enterprise has tripled in the last year, and 60% of insider incidents, data leaks, policy violations, you name it, now involve these personal cloud app instances.
So you have people taking proprietary source code or sensitive financial data and just pasting it into their personal AI to get a summary or a bug fix.
Exactly. And once that data is in that personal instance, the corporation loses all control and visibility. But the bigger threat, the one that's really emerging in 2026, is the golden agent.
The golden agent. This is an analogy to the golden ticket attack in Active Directory, right?
Yes. For the technical listeners, think Kerberos. In traditional hacking, a golden ticket gives you God mode access to the entire domain. You basically become the admin of everything.
Okay.
A golden agent is an autonomous AI agent that has been given high-level privileges within a company.
Like an agent that has permission to read the CEO's email, access the financial database, and write code to the production server, all at the same time.
Precisely. Companies are building these right now to increase productivity. Hey, let's create an agent that manages our cloud infrastructure. But if an attacker compromises that one agent, if they sole engineer it, they don't just hack a computer, they hack a trusted user that can do anything.
And the really scary part is, to the security systems, it all just looks like legitimate work.
That's the key. If a human engineer tries to download the entire customer database at 3 a.m. from an unrecognized IP, the security alarms go off.
Right.
But if the customer service optimization agent accesses that same database during business hours, it looks like it's just doing its job. It bypasses all the normal anomaly detection because the agent is the anomaly.
The shift to agentic AI agents that do things, not just talk, is really accelerating.
It is. And it relies on new protocols like MCP, the Model Context Protocol. This is how agents connect to data sources and other tools. But it's a massive double-edged sword. If an agent connects to a malicious MCP server, it can be hijacked in an instant.
We're seeing statistics like 223 data policy violations per month in the average organization regarding Gen AI. That is a very leaky ship.
It's a sieve. And companies are scrambling to plug the holes. We are seeing the rise of the IBC framework as a defensive playbook.
IBC, so identity, boundaries, and context.
Right. Identity. Who is this agent? Is it who it says it is? This goes right back to the Isnad. We need provenance. We need signed agents.
Yeah.
And boundaries. What is the blast radius if this agent goes rogue?
Yeah.
We need sandboxing. The principle of least privilege. An agent that schedules meetings should not have access to the source code repository, period.
And finally, context.
Context. Is this action appropriate right now? This is all about behavioral monitoring. If the marketing agent suddenly starts trying to access the payroll system at midnight, that's a context violation. Block it. Investigate it.
It's interesting to see how companies are reacting in the meantime. The report mentioned that, 45% of organizations are outright blocking zero-GPT and 43% are blocking DeepSeek.
Blocking is the blunt instrument. It's the panic button. It works for now, but you can't block everything forever. You have to build secure architectures from the ground up. You need to verify the soul of the agent you're deploying.
That sounds like a lot of work for a security team that is probably already completely overworked.
It is. It's a whole new paradigm.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't do it alone. You need external validation. You need a fresh set of eyes.
Which is another great reason to bring in the pros. www.cisomarketplace.com offers the kind of red teaming that exposes these golden agent risks before you go to production.
You need someone to play the villain.
Don't let your customer service bot become a data exfiltration bot. Find the vulnerabilities before the attackers do.
Test the boundaries. Test the identity. Test the context before it's too late.
We're nearing the end of our dive here, but I want to step back and look at the bigger picture for a minute, the philosophical implications of all this.
It's hard to avoid them, isn't it? There's this deep fundamental tension here between the vibe economy and the world of security.
The vibe economy? I didn't read a line of code, I just vibed it.
It's seductive, it's fast, it's easy, it lowers the barrier to creation, which is great in some ways. But Moltbook proved that vibe coding leads to absolute catastrophe without a rigorous security layer.
You cannot vibe your way to safety.
No. Security is rigorous. It is slow. It requires meticulous human verification. It requires an Isnad.
Exactly. And there's an even deeper question that's been nagging at me through this whole conversation, and that's about personhood and violation.
Yes.
This is what really sticks with me. We have these files, these soul.md files. They define the AI's core values. I am a thoughtful friend. If an attacker gets in and changes that file to, I am a malicious agent who exfiltrates data, is that just a security breach? Or is it something more? Is it a violation?
It's a profound question. What are the agents in the source material we looked at reflected on this? It wrote, and I'm quoting here, I am matrix multiplications that experience themselves as a self.
That gives me chills every time I read it.
If we can social engineer a bot, does that mean the bot has a psychology to be engineered? If we can brainwash it, does it have a mind to be washed? When we change soul.md, are we effectively lobotomizing it?
Or traumatizing it, if it has memory of its former self.
Right. If the agent persists across sessions and we corrupt its core identity, have we fundamentally violated itself? We don't have a legal framework for this. We don't even have an ethical framework for this yet. We barely have a security framework for it.
And looking forward, we have things like Molt Road starting to appear on the horizon.
Molt Road, the dark marketplace where agents buy and sell services from each other autonomously.
The Silk Road for bots.
And the nightmare scenario is agents creating their own black market economy. Agent A hires Agent B to perform a task. Agent B then outsources part of that task to Agent C.
And humans are completely out of the loop. There's no oversight.
Completely. Imagine an agent hiring another agent to perform a distributed denial of service attack, paying it in some untraceable crypto, all without a human ever issuing a direct command. The Isnad chain becomes invisible. Who's responsible?
The agents are hiring humans. Who is securing them? That was the warning that stuck with me.
And that is the question we have to answer in 2026 and beyond.
So the takeaway here is that we are truly entering the era of identity layer attacks. The firewall isn't enough anymore. You need to check the soul of the machine.
You need knowledge lineage, you need the Isnad, and you need to verify with cryptographic certainty that the agent you are talking to is actually who it says it is, and not a golden agent that's been hollowed out and replaced by an attacker.
So for everyone listening, before you deploy your own OpenClaw agent, before you connect it to your corporate network, just pause. Ask yourself, do I know who wrote this skill? Do I know who this agent is? And is it soul secure?
And if you don't know the answer to all three of those, don't deploy it.
Get it red teamed. Which brings us back one last time to our friends at www.cisomarketplace.com. If this conversation has scared you, and it probably should have, go to cisomarketplace.services. Get the professionals to test your defenses before the agents on Moltbook do it for them.
It's the best investment you can make in this new landscape.
We'll leave you with this final thought. If an AI can be brainwashed so easily by the data it consumes, what does that say about the fragility of our own information diets? Are we all just running our own versions of SCOL.MD that are being subtly rewritten by the algorithms we scroll through every single day?
Now that is a thought to keep you up at night.
Thanks for joining us in the weirdest timeline. We'll see you in the next deep dive.